And welcome back, everybody, to episode 179 of Two Goalies, One Mic. Brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room, with over 300 beers to choose from at all their locations. Whether it's actually, there's not much going on anymore. Football is over with. I mean, we just have the Sabres. We're at that point of the year where the Sabres are the only thing right now to keep us warm and fuzzy inside. And, that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But just remember to get to your local Fatty Beer and let them know we sent you over here, Two Goalies on Mic. And as always, Buffalo Logo Apparel, always shop local, shop small business, and Buffalo Logo is one of the best spots to get all your shirts, your hats, your hoodies when it comes to the Bills. And they have some Sabre stuffs too out there, so check it out. Joined by my co-host Connor Hurley for episode 179. Connor, we're on a break here till the 22nd, where when they play the Rangers after return from this Four Nations tournament break, which I don't know how excited you are about it, but Sabres. Oh, look at that! Yep, you're already repping. Actually, I got asked this question. I'm going to ask you this question. I got it as a random DM by a guy I used to work with growing up, back when I was in high school, and played a little hockey with him. I'll give him a shout out, Ryan Paddock. Is it harder for you to root for Team USA because Jack Eichel's on the team?
No, absolutely not.
No? Okay. He was curious because there is obviously a dislike, a disdain for Eichel and everything went down here, and obviously he's one of the marquee names on the team. I said to him, do I like the fact that I have to root for Jack Eichel? No, but it's Team USA, so I'm going to root for Team USA.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally completely over that. It's been long enough, and also given how much we've seen from the organization since, I think we have a pretty good idea that it wasn't completely Jack Eichel's fault. Obviously, he wanted out before that all happened, but at the end of the day, I think the Sabres could have done something to keep him, and they didn't end up doing that. And it's unfortunate because he's a top 10 player in the league, and I think we all knew he was. And it's at least partially the reason the Sabres are in the position that there are. And no, I've always had a lot of pride for USA Hockey, especially related to the rivalry with Canada, and even in a tournament like this against two other really, really prominent hockey nations in Sweden and Finland. So no, I'm not going to hold anything
neither will I.
Against Jack Eichel, and I'm gonna root for the Team USA as much as I ever have.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, in terms of Four Nations, I wish there was it was more like a Six Nations tournament. I wish there was more teams involved. But it's still exciting. It's something different. Not the World Cup of Hockey, but it's like World Cup of Hockey light, I guess. The trophy looks pretty dope.
Yeah,
saw that today. And Buffalo has 3 players represented in this tournament: Yoki Haru, UPL, and obviously Rasmus Dahlin. Your thoughts on that Sweden roster? Because obviously I think that's where most of our eyes in terms of Sabres fans are going to be focused, is on that team, knowing that Tage Thompson was snubbed and still isn't snubbed.
So came out today that it looks like he's going to play with Gustav Forsling.
Which is exciting.
Which is super exciting, primarily because Forsling is pretty well known as a defensive defenseman. He is one of the better defensive defensemen in the league. I watched a cut up of his playoff highlights today, and he is specifically really, really good at defending as rushes come into his own zone, getting his stick on pucks, and being responsible in his own end. So to pair a guy like that with Dahlin, who we all know really well to be extremely talented offensively, and he's been relatively good in his own end, and he's improved throughout his career, I think is the perfect pairing. They did originally have him with Rasmus Andersson, and now that they're fully healthy, it looks like Andersson could be even the 7th defenseman, which shows how talented Sweden's defensive core is.
Yeah.
Because Rasmus Andersson is a very, very good player. But specifically that I'm really, really excited for. I was just about to look. If anyone wants to go, I was trying to find one place that had everything, and dailyfaceoff.com/teams actually has all of the lineups, and they update them with every.
I can bring that up right now while you talk.
With every news update. It's actually really cool. So the first power play unit for Sweden, which I think they could probably switch up a little bit, but currently it's Zibanejad, Joel Eriksson Ek, Lucas Raymond, William Nylander, and Victor Hedman. And then currently they don't have Dahlin even on the second unit, which is Forsberg, Carlson, Jesper Bratt, Elias Pettersson, and Ricard Raquel. I think he could factor in somewhere between those two, depending on what happens in the tournament and how things are going. I think having a guy who man's, albeit not necessarily a great first power play unit with the Sabres, I don't think the Sabres power play unit isn't good because of Rasmus Dahlin. So we'll see what happens there. But I think more than anything, it looks like he's going to play a really important role and get a lot of ice time, and I'm really excited to see that.
So it's taking a second here, but just walk me through where to go here. You can pull
I
that
just
up.
typed in do dailyfaceoff.com/teams, and then you should be able to see the Four Nation lineup.
Let's see here.
I don't know if they have go to line combos actually on the top right there.
Line combos?
On the line combos, like on the top
right
menu.
Here?
Yeah. And then go down.
Okay, so I'm clicking on Sweden.
Yeah.
Power play.
Yes. Then I'll show
So here we go. Oh, man. Dahlin, I don't like that. Because he's been so good. He's been so good for them on the
Victor Hedman and Erik Karlsson. Those are tough guys to
I know, but
yeah. This is
Erik
what I'm saying. Like,
I guess Erik Karlsson, yeah.
I think they're slotted in there for now, but given his offensive upside, I do think that he's going to have a chance to get some power play time.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are two pretty like talented power play units. Elias Pettersson, who I guess was recently taken off the trade market, according to sources. I think Cam Robinson might have tweeted. So right now, it doesn't look like Pettersson's even on the trade market anymore. But yeah, I mean, this team is so deep, and looks like, I mean, we all sit there and talk about Team USA and how much of a powerhouse they're probably going to be come Olympics time. But I mean, Sweden isn't a team that you shouldn't take seriously at all. I mean, their goaltending. See here, they got Philip Gustafsson, Linus Ullmark. I mean, Ullmark's definitely playing, right?
Looks like he's going to be the starter.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he plays every game, especially if they win their first one tomorrow against Canada.
I know he's dealt with the injuries and stuff like that, so I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, as far as I've seen, it looks like he's going to be the starter. Yeah, I mean, him being at his best is their best chance of winning or even getting to the title game. I think Team USA and Team Canada are without question the favorites, with Canada being probably a slight favorite over Team USA. But I would say Sweden's definitely the third best team, with Finland being a pretty distant fourth. I don't think Sweden's that distant of a third. I really don't. They have a lot of talent. Their defense is potentially the best in the tournament. And Linus Ullmark, we've seen many times in Buffalo, and even since he's left in Boston, he can steal you a game. So I wouldn't count them out at all.
You look here at Team USA's power play units. Just look at that star power. Like, holy shit!
It's pretty ridiculous. Especially with
that's an all-star team.
Especially with the way Jack Eichel is transformed his game. I would say he's, as if anyone's watched him on Vegas this season, I have him on my fantasy team, so I know really well. He's a distributor. He's basically an assist per game type guy, and he stands in that left D-man spot on the power play and just distributes to every single place on the ice that he can possibly pass it to, whoever the open guy is. And he's had a lot of even strength assists as well with all the firepower Vegas has. So putting him in that spot on the first power play unit with Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes, Adam Fox, Matthew Tkachuk, it's pretty lethal. And you can't get much better than that.
Did you happen to see the player profile picture of Brock Nelson that went out today?
Yeah, it looks like he's 50.
Dude, so I'm going to pull that up real quick. Hold on. Stop sharing this. This guy looks like, I don't know, man. He looks like he belongs in one of those Rogaine commercials. His hair is all gray. Like, I don't know if that's what playing for the Isles has done to him over this course of time. Well, let me bring it up. It's hilarious. Let me see. There we go. This picture is incredible. Hold on, let's see here. No. Here, screen window.
Yeah, I mean, while you're pulling it up, it underscores everything we said about Team USA picking a guy like Vincent Trocheck. I mean, Vincent Trocheck as well, but Brock Nelson over Tage Thompson,
bro. Whose grandfather is this?
Looks like he could be in a Home Depot commercial.
Literally wearing the smock and everything. That's the guy. That's the guy who made it over Tage Thompson. Everybody.
That is a really tough look.
The next face of this, the face of the next Cialis commercial.
Don't want to discount potentially what the fourth line could be for Team USA in the grand scheme of a game and a tournament. I do think it potentially could work well as a shutdown line. These guys aren't bad hockey players, but the ceiling that you're going to get from 75-year-old Brock Nelson is not even close to the ceiling you're going to get from Tage Thompson. So it's a bit unfortunate, but that is the decision that they went with.
Yeah. From we got a comment here. Glad we get to watch Yogi Hardy in this tournament and not Draisaitl or Kucherov. I mean, obviously, I think probably political things that going on in the world might have stopped that from happening. What the heck is this Four Nations crap? What happened to the All-Star break? Why only Four Nations? This is about as bad as the Sabres. Well, nothing is that bad.
So, in my opinion, if you're comparing it to the All-Star break or specifically the All-Star game, this is way better. This is like,
I'll take this over the All-Star game.
This is not even close. Like, first of all, the players absolutely hate the All-Star game. You could see it on their faces in Toronto last season, and basically in every other iteration before that. It's low effort, low energy. Nobody gives a shit. This specifically is a preview of the Olympics next year. Yeah. They wanted a little bit of a tune-up before the Olympics to get everybody excited about international best-on-best hockey again, which hasn't happened in, I think, 11 years.
When was the last Olympics?
Well, the last NHL international tournament was the World Cup of hockey in 2016.
Oh, man.
When you had that super exciting under-23 Team North America. You had the Team Europe, Ralph Kruger-led team that eventually ended up making it to the final.
Would help Ralph Kruger get a job in the NHL again?
Probably not. But that's the last time that NHL players competed at an international level together, which is basically it's over 6.5 years ago. So to use this as a type of tournament, I mean, the Four Nations is unfortunate, but I think specifically they just wanted, I mean, the majority of NHL players are from these Four Nations. So to get them all to agree to do this type of tournament over a 5-game span in Montreal and Boston isn't logistically the easiest thing in the world, especially a year before the Olympics. But the fact that they pulled it off, I actually think is pretty impressive.
And, obviously, new contributor to Two Goalies on Mike here, Jeff. With the Four Nations tournament, you essentially get multiple all-star games and, dare I say, more competitive. It definitely will be more competitive. You want interesting thing, and not that it'll happen during this break, but the NHL hasn't put any freeze on rosters. Trades can happen during this tournament. Could you imagine being Elias Pettersson in the middle of some game, Sweden v whoever, and then in between periods find out you just got traded? That's wild.
That
to
would be
me.
pretty insane. I don't expect that to happen, but
It'd be awesome if it did.
you never know. Luka Doncic got traded from the Mavs, so I think anything could happen in sports these days.
Yeah.
But no, I'm stoked. I'm honestly really, really excited. And I think it's going to be super entertaining. It's going to obviously the talent level, like Jeff said, it's going to be basically like an all-star game, like we saw with the first American power play unit. It's like an all-star game, but these guys are actually going to give a shit and they're going to try and they want to prove that they are the best, specifically USA and Canada, because I think the talent discrepancy is as close as it's ever been, especially considering the goaltending, which is by far and away the USA's best asset, even though they have one of the second best roster in the tournament. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it is a funny comment too, because it seems like just yesterday Forsling was on waivers, and then waiver claim turned top defenseman in the NHL, stay-at-home guy.
Yeah, that's what happens when you play on a good team.
Yeah. Your thoughts on Team Canada? Because I think the lack of goaltending is gonna hurt them a lot in this tournament.
I think it could hurt them, but when your first line is Sam Reinhart, Connor McDavid, and Mitch Marner, you might not need that much goaltending.
Well, you are when you go against Team USA's top line.
Potentially, yes. Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, Mark Stone, second line. Brad Marchand, Braden Point, Seth Jarvis, third line. Brandon Hagel, Anthony Cirelli, Travis Konechny, fourth line. Defensive pairings: Devin Taves, Cal McCarr. They play together in Colorado. Josh Morrissey, Colton Parayko, Shea Theodore, Drew Doughty. As of now, they brought him up recently, and then obviously in net they're going to start Jordan Binnington against Sweden tomorrow, which I think was a bit of a surprise over Aiden Hill. I thought a lot of people thought Aiden Hill was the front runner to be their starter, and I think they definitely could switch that depending on what happens. And then they have Sam Montembeault as their third goalie. It's such a good team. Like McDavid, McKinnon, and Crosby down the middle is absolutely unheard of. Their first power play unit: Crosby, McKinnon, Reinhart, McDavid, and McCarr. That's quite possibly the best power play unit I've ever seen. So yeah, goaltending is not great. Goaltending is potentially the worst in the tournament, but I really do believe this team could score 5-6 goals a game without blinking. I think obviously Connor Hellebuck will definitely have something to say about that, but yeah, I don't know. I think they're the favorite for a reason. They deserve to be the favorite, and the U.S. is going to need to get everything and more out of their lineup and get a top level performance from Hellebuck to have a chance, in my opinion.
Yeah, I could agree with you more. I mean, it was, what was it? When Winnipeg was playing Dallas, and the Winnipeg fans were what were they chanting at Ottinger? U.S. backup, U.S. backup.
Great. I love that.
Oh, it's great.
And I mean that says a lot too. Jake Ottinger is a top 5 goalie in the league, and he's the backup on this team. It shows you how good Hellebuck has been. Another guy I have on one of my fantasy teams who's like single-handedly got me in first place. He's been unbelievable this year in every single metric that you want to count for goalies, not even just the consistent ones that we've used throughout the years: goals against average, save percentage, goals saved above the expected, high danger chances, everything. He's the best goalie in the league. He's the best goalie in the world. He is the prototypical, like he reminds me of Patrick Waugh a bit back in the day, with just like how good he plays big, how good like he is within his net and his positioning, but he can also make that big save for you. And I am so impressed by. I've watched a lot of his games recently, and he's the type of guy that could win you any tournament, but it is a little bit different going up against a lineup as powerful as Canada.
From Crippling Depression Gaming, asking when it starts. We got a response here from Jeff. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time, Canada versus Sweden. How close do you think that game will be?
Tomorrow, I think it could
I
be
think
like
it'll be pretty close.
it could be a 2-goal game. I would imagine if I had to like picture the line, I would imagine Canada's like a minus 250, 300.
Mm,
Sweden maybe plus 175, 200 on the money line. And I do think that's partially because Sweden's defense and goaltending is really, really good. And obviously their offense is not a bunch of slouches by any means.
no.
So yeah, of course they're going to be underdogs, but I do think it theoretically could be a close game. And if 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 Sweden's goaltending, if Allmark's on his game, and they're able to get a couple by Jordan Binnington, who we all know can be very erratic,
Yes,
not
seen it
not
here in Buffalo.
not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. You
Mhm.
never know what you're going to get with him, especially in the first game of a tournament. Uh, that's probably in Montreal. I had to guess. If
A
I had
lot
to
of
guess.
pressure.
So they'll have the fans on their side, but yeah, I think it absolutely could be a close game.
Mhm. Yeah. I Bennington is such a wild card, man. Like you get a couple quick ones in on him, you get in his kitchen a little bit, man. That guy's I don't care if it's in the NHL or if it's on international play. That guy's liable to blow up.
For
Just
sure. But I mean, it was a long time ago, but we saw him in game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. St. Louis Blues versus Boston Bruins. He effectively stole them that game.
oh, for
And
sure, yeah.
yeah, so
That year he was incredible.
but even since, like I do think he's had big time moments where he's stepped up. He's a bit of a head case, but I think his best game is, and that's probably why they're going with him. I think Aiden Hill probably has a higher floor, but Binnington's ceiling is probably higher than Aiden Hill's.
Oh, I mean, you have the stand. You mean obviously, and so does Aiden Hill, but like just big game mentality, right? Like I think Bennington might be a little bit more built for the moment in terms of experience, but we'll see. We'll see. All I know is Team USA when it comes to goaltending. There's Team USA and everybody else is just down here. Nobody touches them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all 3 guys would probably start on any other team. If I had to guess that at this moment, I imagine that Ottinger and Swayman would all start on Canada, Sweden, and Finland at this moment.
Yeah.
So it's a nice luxury.
They have a third goalie with them too, right? It's Hellebuck, Ottinger, and who?
Swayman.
Swayman. Oh, Jeremy Swayman. Yeah. So it's hard to pick between those 3 guys, even though Swayman has struggled this season. So
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's pretty clear Hellebuck over Ottinger.
yeah,
And then it's another pretty distant gap between Ottinger and Swayman. That shows how good Ottinger and Hellebuck are, because yeah, Swayman hasn't been what earned him that $8 million a year contract, but he's still a really, really good goalie.
yeah. And obviously with this break, I mean, not often you get 2.5 weeks off. It's today's the 10th. So they get 12 days off. I mean, but when did the Sabres last play?
Saturday.
So essentially two weeks and a day off in the season. Guys have a chance to get healthy again, spend some time with family. You know, not often you get this amount of time to spend with your family in the middle of the season. So coming out of this, obviously there isn't an NHL roster freeze. Obviously, guys are taking this as an opportunity to age, like who has dealt with injuries already this season, to get healthy. There was a really big lost opportunity the other night. Obviously, you weren't on the post game with me, losing that game to Nashville, in a game where every team in front of you that you would be fighting for a playoff spot with lost, and then you failed to come out of that with 2 points. Coming out of this Four Nations break, just to step away from that tournament for a second, because we have a few questions here in the chat. What do you expect going forward from the Sabres? Because I think I hate saying it, but the season's over. I know that I hate saying that because I like to be optimistic. Everybody knows that, but season's over. Like, what do you want to see from this team going forward from an on the ice compete level, not just compete level, but on the ice and off the ice? Like, what do you want to see? Because we do have a question here. I'll pull it up here in a second, but what do you want to see from this team going forward coming out of the break?
I don't want them to lie down. I think we've discussed many times that we don't want to be in that tank conversation. We don't want to be on Tankathon figuring out what the chances are that we potentially could get that number one pick and be in a lottery team once again. I think you want to see a little bit of fight, right? Like, it's 11 points, but theoretically, if you were to go on another 4 or 5 game win streak and you have some teams lose in front of you, you at least make it a conversation. By no means do I think they're going to do that, because they haven't shown consistently that they're able to do that. But if you do have health, especially relative compared to the rest of the league, like, you only have 3 players in this tournament, and only one that's going to play a significant role on their team. You potentially will have a lot of rested guys and a lot of motivated guys too that weren't selected to play in the tournament for a variety of reasons. So I would hope that they use this to their advantage. As we've seen many times before, they haven't been able to show that level of consistency. I didn't watch much on Saturday night, but from what I hear, it seems like the defensive goaltending let them down once again. Couldn't get a save at the right moment and couldn't get to the point where you're defending consistently to help make that save, which has been a problem for most of the year, especially in the losses. Obviously, you need more offense, but I think
Darlene played a perfect game.
Yeah,
Darlene played an incredible
game. I heard
game.
that as well, which I think we can kind of expect that from him at this point. He's not the problem. He's never been the problem, and it's unfortunate because as many superstars as I'm not saying we're going to let him go, but as many superstars as we've let go recently, I'm worried at potentially what might happen if we continue to go down this barren path. So yeah, I don't know. I think the group is close. I don't think I don't think Lindy's lost the room. I don't think a guy like that could lose the room. And I do think they're more mature than years past. But as you said, there's going to become a tipping point, especially with a guy like Jason Zucker and these other UFAs, where if you're not going to get them re-signed after the season, you're eventually going to have to be a seller at the deadline. So I think they're going to have to balance that conversation and figure out what's best for the team moving forward. And I do hope they do that, but I also don't want to see a bunch of AHL guys in March and April. That would be going down the path of us refreshing the Tankathon odds.
Well,
so.
I mean, I'll disagree with you there for just a moment, because I've seen all I've needed to see, like Seattle, like guys like Lafferty. Like, I would much rather see what Isaac Rosen can do for an extended amount of time on this team.
I was more so referring to like Brett Murray or guys that like
even him, man. Like, I wouldn't like Brett Murray played it. It was in the AHL All-Star game. He's not a great skater.
But I just don't think that Brett Murray's necessarily going to have a long-term role with the Sabres moving forward.
Yeah, but I mean, is he a guy that, again, his stock has probably never been this high? You bring him up to the NHL, maybe he performs well. I mean, is that a guy that's in your future plans, or is he going to be an AHL guy his whole career, or do you want to give him a chance somewhere else? That's my thinking, is like, you have all these players and these prospects that you just don't have the room for on a team that's as young as the Sabres. At some point, you should give them a chance in the NHL and prove themselves that they can play up here, and then maybe you flip them somewhere else. Like, that's my point, is like Isaac Rosen having a career best season. I mean, are we gonna try and take advantage of that? Like, a month or two ago, we were talking about this podcast that his stock and his value has gone down dramatically since we drafted him, because he just really hasn't found his place in Rochester. He's just been kind of like the same guy, but never really found a path to the NHL. Well, now here's an opportunity where you could bring him up, bring Brett Murray up. Maybe they play some good games. Maybe they put up some points, and in the offseason, going into the draft, you find a way to flip those in part of a deal that brings you more veteran talent, more talent to help this roster now. That's my thinking of it. Not that these guys are a solution on this roster going forward, but utilizing their value that they have right now in that way.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a discussion to be had. And like you said, you signed Sam Lafferty for a reason. I think they did something similar with Nicholas Kubel, obviously. So yeah, I mean, you want to maximize which lineup you put out there gives you the best chance to win every night, while also getting a look at some of these guys too. But I really hope that doesn't mean just throwing anybody out there and just like crawling your way to the finish line. I don't think anybody wants to see that at this point. So I hope we won't, and I think they have more pride than that. But yeah, I mean, the 4-game win streak was a positive, right? Like, hadn't seen it in 2 years. Would love to see more of that.
So would I.
And potentially even a 5-game or longer to make this at least slightly interesting. But if we're being 100% real, the season was over after the 13-game winless streak. You can't
stop
survive.
calling it a winless streak, please. Stop. It's a losing streak.
I mean, it was technically.
It's a losing streak.
It's just
they lost.
They lost.
They were losers. I don't care if they got points and over. They were losers.
Yeah. Regardless, that type of streak is unsurvivable in today's NHL, even in a down year in the Eastern Conference. So they sealed their fate there, and it's unfortunate. Dowling didn't play in 8 of those games, and it wasn't necessarily the best situation, but it happened, and they have, even though that they have done much better since they've played at the pace that they were before that streak, it hasn't been enough to recover from it. So we'll see. I hope to see a little bit of pride, a little bit of fight, and at least something exciting in the final third of the season.
So, in terms of 4 Nations, getting back to that, who are you most looking forward to seeing playing non-Sabres related in a tournament like this? Like non-Sabre, who are you most looking forward to see playing?
Probably, I mean, I've watched McDavid enough that I know what McDavid is, but I don't get the chance to watch McKinnon as much as I'd like to. And I think him, especially in that lineup he's always been surrounded by talent, but this level of talent, I think a lot of people are at least like having that conversation now about, of course, McDavid's the best, but it's as close as it's ever been between McKinnon and McDavid. I would say Nathan McKinnon for sure. I think he is going to really show how good he is, and especially on that first power play unit, and also having the ability to play with, God, what is that line again?
McKinnon is playing with Crosby and Stone.
Yeah. So a guy like Crosby, as intelligent as he is, and same with Mark Stone, they're both really good distributors, really smart players, and obviously can both finish as well. But if I had to pick one player, I'm going to say McKinnon.
Man, look at this first line: Ryan Hart, McDavid, Marner, Crosby, McKinnon, Stone, Marchand, Braden Point, Seth Jarvis, then Hagel, Cirelli, and Konechny.
That's a relatively good shutdown line too. You've got a lot of talent there. Hagel specifically has been really good offensively recently.
Former Sabre.
But Cirelli as a 4th-line center, he is perfect in that role specifically. And we all know how tough and as much of a nuisance as Travis Konechny can be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just generally, I can't wait to watch Team Canada. But specifically Nathan McKinnon, I think potentially could win tournament MVP.
Apparently, Ube Kubel is already on Hattie Watch tonight, so good for him down in Rochester. For me, I mean, I love Nathan McKinnon. Such a dynamic player, man. Like everything about his game is perfect in the way he plays the game, and I know it was just like an ongoing joke in Pittsburgh. They should consider it, but they won't. Just the thought of McKinnon and Crosby playing on a team together in Colorado, going on a cup run, that would be awesome. And I think Sid, I know he wants to be loyal, but I know there's a lot of Penguins fans out there who are giving him the blessing for the Penguins to trade him to a real contender so he can go chase another cup. Like, I know the thought of him retiring a Penguin and playing his career as a Penguin, but like, I don't think anyone should ever question Sidney Crosby's loyalty, right? Like,
Yeah.
the guy has been signed for $8.7 million a season, like his entire career after his rookie deal. There's nobody should ever question that guy's loyalty. I would love to see him go to a different team, especially Colorado, and go see him chase a cup with them.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen personally.
No, I don't either. But it should.
Yeah. But yeah, and another guy, we'll keep it with the USA here. Kyle Connor has been unbelievable this year for Winnipeg. At least a major reason they've been as good as they are. Watching him and his speed and how creative he is on the ice has been really cool to watch. And him on the first line with Jack Eichel and Matthew Tkachuk, I think will be really cool to see. So I'll pick him for my Team USA selection.
Yeah. So I like I said, all good choices. You're asking me who I'm most looking forward to. I'll stick with Team USA too. I want to see how JT Miller performs, not because I'm a big JT Miller guy, just all the drama that surrounded him over the past couple months. I just want to see how he fits in with this team of this very highly talented team as that third line center. He's going to be centering Brady Tkachuk and Matt Boldy. He started off really hot with the Rangers. He had 3 goals in 3 games or whatever it was. Definitely interested to see how well JT Miller does, given just kind of everything he had been through with Vancouver, now stepping into this role. And, honestly, on a national stage, in an international tournament, for the 4 nations, and another guy really interested in seeing him play. I definitely just want to see how well Brock Nelson and Vincent Trocheck performed, just selfishly because they were 2 guys that were essentially picked over guys like Cole Caulfield and, Tage Thompson for the Sabres. I just want to see if they fit the bill and fit that role that they're going to be asked to play, or is that something that might blow up in Team USA's face?
Yeah, agreed. It's going to be in that shutdown role. Who knows how much it actually will be, because I think a line like Boldy, Miller, and Tkachuk could easily be a shutdown line as well.
Yes.
And you could ask Eichel, Matthew Tkachuk, and Kyle Connor, and any of these guys are relatively good two-way players, but it's maybe in a penalty kill situation. Who knows? That's going to be the dirty roles that these guys are playing. But yeah, I agree. This is a tune-up for the Olympics, and by no means is this absolutely going to be the Olympic roster. But if things go precisely according to plan for how Team USA wants them to, and they run through this tournament and even beat Canada or whoever in the final, it potentially could be a really good blueprint for what they're going to go with.
It would just be criminal on international ice to not have Cole Caulfield or Tage Thompson on your team.
I agree, but the powers that be seem to believe in a different team building philosophy. So we'll see.
Yeah. Your final thoughts here, actually non-hockey related. Like the news coming out in the last 48 hours. It looks like the Buffalo Destroyers are coming back to Buffalo. You see that?
I saw rumors of that, but I didn't.
Well, Stevie Johnson is leading the way. Stay tuned for updates and stakeholder info. This is Buffalo's team, and we're just getting started. Essentially, it's going to be ran by former Bills. Freddie Jackson's in on it. Also, obviously, Stevie Johnson. But it looks like it's going to be where fans can have a stake in the team if they want to be a stakeholder.
And
I'm assuming the Green Bay Packers do.
It's going to be arena football?
Yep. I think,
cool.
Yeah. I went to a few of those. I'm assuming that's what this is. I could be wrong. I'm so excited. This was 17 minutes ago. I'm so excited to co-own the Destroyers with my beloved city of Buffalo, but we won't hit the field until 2026. In the meantime, I'm thrilled to serve as SD Strike Force's Executive Ambassador of Community and Relations. Game begins on 331 Oceanside, but it looks like, again, this could be really exciting. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean the Bandits do well enough, and it's not necessarily that different of an atmosphere in a game, being as enclosed as it is. Obviously, the Bandits have a lot of pedigree and a lot of history, but I mean, I vaguely remember Buffalo Destroyers games. I don't even know if I
Yeah,
went
I
to
do
one.
too.
I went to a Blizzard game. I remember that,
Wizards, yep.
but
Rudy
no, I
Randy
mean,
Pikuzinski.
I as we both know, like it's a sports town, and I think
We'll support
especially
it.
in the Bills off season, like people want something to do, and if it is co-owned by former Bills legends and Bills legends, like that's something that I think could garner interest, and yeah, I mean just another entertainment source and something, especially to get people downtown. I'm all for it. Especially at a slow time of the year. So
Dude,
I think it'd be pretty
Dion
cool.
Dawkins said it with us on the show. Is like you got when you play in Buffalo, you got to find reasons, find things to go out and do. You know, you see him at Sabres games all the time. I imagine if he's in town and there's a Destroyers game going on, you're going to see him down there on the boards banging the glass.
Yeah, I could easily see him having an ownership stake in that team as well.
Yeah.
That seems right up his alley. So
Yep.
I would really like that. But yeah, I'm all for it. Why not?
Agreed. Well, guys, we're gonna get out of here. This has been episode 179 of Two Goalies One Mic. Just want to remind you all that if you do enjoy our content and you aren't subscribed yet, whether you're watching on Twitter, you can find myself at Duane S39. You can find my co-host there at CROs13. You can find the podcast itself at Two Goalies One Mic. We are with the Built-in Buffalo brand. You can find them at Built-in Buffalo on Twitter as well. On Facebook, you can just find me at by my name. Same thing with Connor Hurley or Two Goalies One Mic. Just type there in the old search bar, as well as Built-in Buffalo. But most importantly, if you are watching on YouTube, I beg you, I urge you, please, please, please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the little bell notification so you know when we go live. And just as important, please hit the like button, leave a comment. When it comes to that algorithm, it helps a lot. It helps us get noticed out there. So please make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the bell notification. And as always, go Team USA. And of course, go Sabres.